Welcome back to the LeaderFIT vlog series, our final episode where we close out our conversation about getting leader fit for the work of leading inclusion, access, and equity. Now, our leadership content centers on what we call intentional and impactful leadership, specifically a shift in how we lead this work, shifting from a singular approach to a more holistic leadership approach and framework. And it's really a growth mindset. Think about it. Now, this is the final vlog episode of the LeaderFit series, and I've been really excited to see and hear about the LeaderFit stories of success. And many of you have remained focused, you've remained intentional, and you've been tracking, which is really a huge part of this work. Your leader moves as you engage in the work of impacting teacher growth and student learning. So let's close out this series strong and jump right into our conversation. Episode 8, the final one, we are on the air. Now, you've been joining us for episode 1 through 7, and you've been utilizing some of these leader moves. So I know that you're fit and you are seeing the collective impact of your work and those leader moves. So my goal as your personal LeaderFit trainer, as I have throughout this series, has really been and will continue to be, and I hope long after this series, is to challenge you, encourage you, and equip you with a specific leader move designed to help you do 3 things. And you know them. That's to stay focused on the work, be intentional in prioritizing the work, and then tracking it on your calendar so that you can work on the work and even measure your impact on teacher growth and student learning for those students with disabilities. So here we go. Let's jump right into our LeaderFit warm-up. And you know this as our lead embrace framework of drivers and designs. So we've had a chance to really look at each of our core 4 drivers that support instructional excellence in this vlog series. You remember them: targeted times for thorough talks, TTE supplies, those templates, tools, and exemplars, professional development for me, which is that from my engagement, and that coaching OT, the observation of tier 1 instruction. And then we talked about those designs that sustain the instructional excellence for students with disabilities. And today we're going to close out our series by talking about our last of the 4 designs. So now that we have drove home the point that you must first prioritize the work by considering which driver or design to leverage, let's get leader fit and work on the work. Because in this episode, we get fit with the design that sustains the work, called the logic of logistics. Remember, this design is about a focus on scheduling and positioning teachers and students for success. And at its core, this is really about knowing your staff by name, by their needs, and by knowing their strengths, right? So that you can create the most effective and impactful co-teaching teams and opportunities for collaboration. But it's also about knowing your students in some ways as well, right? Knowing them by their name, knowing them by their needs, and knowing them by their nuances so that you can position them in classes during times that will give them the greatest opportunity to be successful. So how do you get fit and stay fit so you can make an impact on instructional excellence for students with disabilities and really be engaged in the practice of considering the logic of logistics? Well, let's check out these leader moves that they align with our LeaderFit guide. And I'm only going to give you, as I have throughout this series, I'm going to give you 5 leader moves for you to think about. Leader move number 1: meet with your scheduling leads and teams and establish some scheduling priorities, right? I think establishing the expectation that scheduling students with disabilities is a priority must be a first step. And while you may, like myself, you may not be the lead of scheduling, your engagement in establishing the why, the what, the how, or at least contributing to the how of ensuring students with disabilities and co-teaching teams meet our prioritized scheduling is essential, right? I like to think this is an automatic and that this is already happening in your school. But if it's not, hey, shift gears in the right direction. Okay. Leader move number 2. Review your SIPs and your APs, your school improvement plans and your action plans to ensure you have maximized scheduling for your desired goals and outcomes. There needs to be an alignment. Right? So as I meet with teams to develop strategies, prioritizing numeracy and literacy is generally part of the planning and conversation. Just recently, as we prepare to roll out our new math standards and a new ELA curriculum framework, along with other literacy initiatives in our school and in our district, our team's collaborative conversations was really about strengthening our co-teaching teams and prioritizing their time for collaboration and even for professional learning. But we also talked about many of our students and when it may be best to provide additional support along with those class times. It was a very robust conversation, but we reflected in the context of our school improvement plan goals. We reflected in the context of our action plan strategies and those things that we've already launched and those things that we may consider launching. And we grappled with how best to maximize our scheduling to meet our goals. Leader move number 3. Meet with your teacher teams to discuss, decide, and design those scheduling revisions when needed, right? This may happen at targeted times throughout the year. Now, here's the reality. In many cases, it's not likely that you're able to make wholesale changes to students' schedules at various times, or even make wholesale changes to teachers' schedules for that matter throughout the year. However, this is where, as a leader and as leader teams, you can really be creative in designing additional ways and times for students to access support and engaging learning opportunities. Leader move number 4. Really, really important. Observe teachers and teacher teams to identify strengths and interests. So here's that crossover with one of those drivers of observation and feedback, because this is helpful in positioning teachers for successful collaboration and for student impact over time. This is the foundation for offering support and making scheduling decisions over time that sustain success. Much like the research has shown in many case studies, those co-teaching teams that have worked together year after year, particularly in schools where I've served, they've exhibited substantial growth and they've made positive impacts on student learning. Now, this is not to say that those with few to no years of collaborative experience or co-teaching team experience can't be impactful, because I've seen amazing results with pair support and collaboration because of, quite frankly, strong tier 1 instruction and a culture of high expectations. But it's really important for you to be able to go in to observe those teachers and those teacher teams so I can identify those strengths and even those things that are of interest to them so that you can position them for success over time. Leader move number 5. Listen, open the door and invite the personal voice of teachers into the conversation of scheduling. Sometimes this is like a master key only accessible conversation, right? When it comes to scheduling. But it's so important for leaders to listen to what do they consider to be their strengths? What do they think about their collaborative or co-teaching pairing? All right. What do they think in general? This is not to say that teachers get what they want. I had a conversation with one of my teachers who was so shocked that I invited him to share candidly his thoughts about the outlook for scheduling. That by the end of the conversation, quite honestly, he was willing to support the team wherever he was needed. Right? And that's ultimately what you want anyway. But this gave me an opportunity to gain new insight and to consider how best to develop scheduling for teacher teams and really even for students in some ways as well. Listen, you've learned throughout the series that being leader fit is um, not just about hard work, it's hands-on work. These leader moves that we've shared in each of these episodes requires our intimate engagement in the work of leading inclusive schools. And when you're fit, you're focused, you're intentional, and you're tracking, well, hey, you've already seen the impact on the outcomes for your students with disabilities. So I want to thank you for embracing the challenge to lead this important work and this impactful work. While this is our last episode in this vlog series, please know that you have access to all of these episodes on our website and on the Lead Embrace app. I encourage you to take some time to check in on your work and assess your level of impact and growth by using our LeaderFIT measures rubric. I hope that these practical tools that we've provided and that we'll continue to provide, that we put in your hands, will help you continue to prioritize your work so that you can fully engage in working on your work. Listen, I'm Derek Butler, your personal LeaderFIT trainer, and it has been my honor to come alongside you and to work with you in this work. Until our next vlog episode, keep leading forward.